I'm Molly Carmel, and this is the podcast I always wish existed. A bite-sized, on-the-ground spiritual note that can shift your thinking and your outlook on life to help make us all a little bit more awake, alive, and ascending. So I want to talk about something that happened when my friend and I stopped trying to make something into what we thought it should be and let it become what it actually wanted to be. We stopped forcing our solutions. And what it became was so much better than we had planned. So I co-hosted this event at my home recently with my friend Michelle, and we just had big, exciting plans. We are big, exciting plan people. And we were just going to fill it up, 20 people, vibrant, full, buzzing with energy. And, we promoted this event. We put it out there. We were psyched about it. And then for whatever reason, the signups came in just slower than we expected, slower than we'd actually ever seen with events that we held together. There were only 10 people signed up. And so Michelle, she voice memos me and says, should we get more on social? Should we send more emails? Do you think we should call individual people? Should we, let's try to get these spots filled. Let's do it. And something in me just got really quiet. Actually, something in me really braced what she said. I felt like a break in my stomach when she was like, let's do more. Let's get it. Let's hustle. I just felt like we were pushing to make the thing into what we had decided it should be. And it felt really aversive to me, like the wrong move. And so I just said to her, what if we let this event be what it wants to be? What if we just let this event be what it wants to be? And so Michelle was like, okay. And we didn't push. We just let the 10 people stand. And so it was. And then the craziest thing happened, Ascenders. On the day of the event, 5 people canceled last minute. So this big event that we thought was going to be 20 people ended up being 5 or 6 people. And so what we thought it was going to be and what it was, 20 people, big, loud, vibrant, all this snacks, all this excitement, just buzz, my house just sort of buzzing, right? Became 5 women, small, quiet, candlelit, intimate room, nothing we had planned. And I'm sure it goes without saying, it was one of the most beautiful evenings that I can remember. It was delicious. It was unhurried. The event was actually about unthawing from winter to spring. And we just really allowed ourselves to do that in this really slow and intentional manner. We were going to have all of these big events. I ended up just doing a really beautiful bowl healing with everybody. And the event ended up being real in a way that a room of 20 might never have been. That would have been real in a way, but this was just literally what the spiritual doctor ordered. And both of us were just so glad, genuinely glad that we made that call, that we just stopped forcing solutions and let it be what it wanted to be, instead of forcing it into the shape that we decided it needed to take. So that brings me to our pocket sage today, a friend of the show, Anne Lamott. Love her. She is really one of my favorite writers on earth because she's so funny and honest and spiritual and has no pretense to be found anywhere. And her book, Help, Thanks, Wow, goodie. It's a goodie. And here's what she has to say in that book. Astonishing material and revelation appear in our lives all of the time. Let it be. Unto us so much is given. We just have to be open for business. Let me read that again for those of you in the back. Astonishing material and revelation appear in our lives all the time. Let it be. Unto us so much is given. We just have to be open for business. Y'all, I am obsessed with this passage. We just have to be open for business. Like, just take that with you. Never listen to the show again. No, I'm kidding. Listen to the show again. But like, we have to be open for business. And being open for business is not forcing or pushing or not insisting that the thing look the way we decided it should look. It's just open, palms up, available, willing to receive what is actually arriving instead of being ultra obsessed with what we planned. So, our word of the day today is yield. Yield has two meanings. I did a little dictionary research for us today. And I love both of them for this episode because the first is what you do at a stop sign, right? You yield the right of way to something that has more momentum than you do right now. So you step back, you let it through. And the second yield is what a harvest does. It yields, right? It produces what it's going to produce in its own time, in its own quantity, and no amount of forcing can make it more. And so that Anne Lamott reading is really saying that life is constantly offering us something, astonishing material, she says, right? Revelation. But we miss it when we're so focused on what we decided should be happening that we can't see what's actually here. And so to yield is to step back from your plan long enough to let what's actually arriving come through, to trust that what shows up, even and especially if it's quieter or smaller or different than you imagined, has something in it that's worth receiving. And so here's what I want us to think about today. The thing that didn't go as planned might be going exactly as it needs to. And let me tell you one other thing about this. A belief is a repeated thought. So even if you don't really believe that, if you continue to repeat that long and long and long enough, then you're going to be in the flow of life. So this benefits you whether you believe it or you don't believe it. You can choose to believe it. You can choose to believe that the thing that didn't go as planned might be going exactly as it needs to, and then you're going to live a happier life. And I have planned more events and projects and experiences, and I just know that the ones that I grip the hardest are rarely the ones that turn out best. Because there's something about this forcing and this insistence that it's just the right size and the right shape and the right version of what I imagined that actually ends up working against it. It takes all the creativity, it takes all the magic out of it, and it closes off the possibility of something unexpected and beautiful and kind of like spiritual arriving in its place. And I promise you, 5 women in a room is not what we planned. And 5 women in a room was like literally extraordinary. And we would have missed it entirely if we had spent the weeks before frantically filling the seats and, forcing our solution on it. And I really think about how often we do this in our lives, right? How often we decide in advance what something is supposed to look like. And then we exhaust ourselves trying to make it conform to that image. The relationship's supposed to be a certain way. The kids are supposed to be a certain way. The career that's supposed to move on a certain timeline. The healing that's supposed to be further along by now. And all of that gripping and managing and insisting, we miss what's actually here, which is often quieter than we planned and more beautiful than we can imagine. And I just love that Anne Lamott line in this reading, right? Being open for business, being open for possibility. I love it because it's not saying be passive, right? It's saying be available. Show up, be present, do what you can, and then yield. Release the grip on how it has to turn out. Trust that what arrives, even if it's smaller or different or not quite what you expected, might be exactly what you need, right? Let it be what it wants to be. Yield to what's arriving and then stay open to what it turns out to mean. And so your reflective question for the day, what are you trying to force into a shape it doesn't want to take? And what might it become if you yielded to what actually is? And listen, I am right here with you, Ascenders. Yielding to what's arriving, trusting what shows up, letting things be what they want to be. And listen, if this podcast is landing with you, I really need your help. I need you to spread the word and I need you to do it big time. I know that sounds like forcing solution, but maybe it is, maybe it isn't. We want to grow our Ascender crew because the more, the merrier. We rise together. Until next time.